Hey Reddit. Throwaway account because this is still pretty raw, and honestly, I just need to get it out somewhere. I, 32M, have been married to my wife, 30F, for 5 years, together for almost 8. We were the textbook example of a power couple according to our friends, me working in finance, her building her own career as a freelance designer. We didn't have kids yet, but it was something we talked about a lot. Or at least, I thought we were on the same page about that. Things started to shift a few months ago, and I wish I had picked up on it earlier. She suddenly became super into social media, specifically following this one lifestyle and travel blogger, Jay Monroe. The guy's a walking thirst trap with 3 million followers and a six-pack that makes Zac Efron look unemployed. At first, it was harmless. She'd send me his posts and say stuff like, "Look at the editing on this one," or "Can you believe how good this branding is?" But it slowly turned into obsession. She was watching all his live streams, commenting, demanding. Then she started doing more collabs on Instagram herself, trying to build her own influencer brand, saying she needed to keep up with trends. I brushed it off. I figured it was just a creative phase, maybe a way for her to break out of the freelance grind. But looking back, it wasn't just hustle. It was a red flag. Next part? Things get real when I stumble on something I was never supposed to see. Alright, so here's where things went from "that's kind of weird" to "holy hell, what did I just find?" One Friday night, she said she was going to a networking event for local creatives and influencers. Normally, I wouldn't think twice, she's always been social, and I respected that. But that night, something felt off. She dressed way more glam than usual, heels she hadn't worn in over a year, a dress I didn't even know she owned, and perfume that used to be reserved for anniversaries. I tried to shake the feeling. Stayed home, played some FIFA, ordered Thai, and figured I was being insecure. Then around midnight, I went to plug her laptop into the charger on her desk. Mine was dead and hers was nearby. When I opened it, her messages were still open. I swear I wasn't snooping. I just saw a preview of a DM from someone named JM pop up. I don't know what possessed me, but I clicked. I wish I hadn't. The conversation thread was long. Way longer than any professional exchange. Flirty at first. Then blatantly sexual. Talk of our little secret, and even photos, nothing too graphic, but suggestive enough to kill my appetite and my faith in humanity. The worst part? There was a message from just a few hours ago. It read, "Can't wait to see you tonight. Hotels booked. Room 214, face blowing a kiss." I stared at the screen for a good 10 minutes, hoping and praying I was misunderstanding. But there was no wiggle room. No misinterpretation. My wife wasn't networking. She was cheating with a damn influencer she used to show me on her phone while I was folding laundry. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I didn't say a word. I made coffee like usual. Gave her a kiss on the forehead when she stumbled in around 10 a.m. wearing the same heels and makeup from the night before. She looked tired, almost smug. I waited. I wanted to see if she'd lie. Spoiler, she did. "Oh my god, babe," she said, tossing her heels by the door. "Last night was so boring. Just a bunch of wannabes pretending to be something they're not." I sipped my coffee, staring at her. Really? Room 214 at the Marriott didn't seem boring. She froze. Didn't blink. That split second of silence told me everything. But of course, she launched into performance mode. "What are you talking about?" she snapped, like I was the crazy one. "Why are you spying on me? Did you go through my phone? That's a huge violation." Classic deflection. Not even a moment of guilt, just rage that she got caught. I calmly replied, "Your laptop was open. The message was right there. I saw it. All of it." That's when the tears came, fake ones. She suddenly dropped into this poor me act. It didn't mean anything. He's just someone I was talking to for content collaboration. It was all pretend, a marketing strategy. We staged the hotel thing for followers. Unbelievable. I asked her point blank, So you slept with him for engagement metrics? She couldn't answer. Instead, she turned the whole thing around. You never support my creative side. I was lonely. He understood me. You're always working. And just like that, I was the villain in her little story. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there, completely hollowed out, wondering how someone I trusted could gaslight me with such confidence. After that confrontation, something inside me cracked, not in an explosive way, but more like a slow collapse. Like a beam in an old house finally giving out after holding too much weight for too long. She spent the next few days walking on eggshells, alternating between being unusually sweet and passive-aggressively cold. One night she cooked dinner, lit candles, tried to act like nothing happened. Another night she accused me of being emotionally distant, like that somehow justified her betrayal. The worst part? I still loved her. I wish I could say I flipped a switch and walked out the door. But instead, I found myself drowning in memories, our wedding, the vacations, the way she used to look at me before she got obsessed with social media and followers and fake validation. I tried talking to her again, hoping there was a part of her that regretted it, that wanted to fix what she broke. But all she ever offered was half-hearted apologies sandwiched between justifications. It wasn't serious. He's nobody in real life. I only did it because I didn't feel seen. At night, I'd lie awake with her asleep next to me, wondering if she was dreaming about him. I kept replaying moments, trying to spot the lies in retrospect. Every smile, every I love you, every time she said she was going out to network, was that all fake? And I hated myself for still wanting it to not be true. Emotionally, I was wrecked. Angry. Humiliated. But also weirdly numb. Like I was watching my life from a distance, too afraid to really face what was happening. I stopped checking her phone. Not because I trusted her again, but because I already knew the truth, and seeing more would just reopen wounds that hadn't even begun to close. About a week after our confrontation, I reached what I now call the breaking point. I came home early from work, something told me I needed to. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the way she'd been weirdly giddy that morning, humming while making coffee like we weren't barely speaking just days before. I walk in, and the first thing I hear is laughter, hers, and a man's voice. At first, I tell myself she just has a friend over. But I freeze when I hear his voice. The blogger. I'd seen enough of his content online after the last fiasco to recognize that smug tone anywhere. I didn't even step into the living room right away. I just listened from the hallway. He was telling her about some brand deal and she was giggling like a schoolgirl. Then, I hear them start talking about me. She says, he's been acting all moody since I told him about us. But he won't do anything. He's too passive. That was it. I stepped in, dead silent, and just stood in the doorway. She didn't see me right away. He did. His face dropped. She turned, saw me, and had the audacity to say, "It's not what it looks like." I just laughed. I laughed so hard I thought I was going to lose it. He got up, all awkward, saying he didn't mean to cause problems and that this seems personal, and I told him he had exactly 10 seconds to get out before I gave him something to blog about. He laughed. She stood there, arms crossed, like I had overreacted. "You always twist things," she said. "Twist things?" I told her that was it. I wasn't going to play the confused, heartbroken husband anymore while she played house with a guy who makes TikToks for a living. She said, "So you're giving up on us?" I said, "No. You gave up on us the second you chose him." She didn't respond. Just walked to the kitchen like we were done talking. That moment, I was done. After kicking out the blogger and making it clear to my wife that I was done, the next few days were a whirlwind of denial, gaslighting, and fake apologies. It was like she suddenly remembered she had a husband and started playing the "I'm sorry" card on repeat, but only when it served her. She started love bombing me. Making breakfast. Texting me things like, "We can get through this, babe." Suddenly she was trying. But I could see right through it. The trust was shattered, and I wasn't about to glue it back together just because she remembered how to make pancakes. What pissed me off the most was how she spun the story to her friends and family. "Oh, we're just going through a rough patch. He's been really stressed at work and overreacted to something innocent." Innocent? You're telling people I overreacted because I walked in on you with your influencer side piece, and I'm the one who's stressed? She even had the nerve to suggest therapy. Not because she wanted to fix things, but because she wanted a third party to validate her lies. I went to one session just to see where her head was at. The therapist asked her what she thought caused the disconnect, and she said, "I think he doesn't appreciate how hard it is being with someone who doesn't understand my need for connection and spontaneity." I nearly laughed out loud. Lady, that's not spontaneity, that's betrayal with a selfie stick. After that session, I decided I was officially done playing the part of the confused, patient husband. I wasn't going to sit through any more carefully curated performances. Not for her. Not for a therapist. Not for the facade we had built. I contacted a lawyer. The emotional roller coaster didn't stop, but at least now I was steering the damn thing. No more surprises. No more lies. After the therapy session disaster, I stopped playing nice. I moved into the guest room, changed all my passwords, and quietly started gathering documents, bank statements, text logs, anything that showed a pattern. I wanted to be ready when it came time to end this circus for good. That's when the real her came out. Gone was the fake sweet, remorseful wife. In her place was someone cold, angry, and petty. The moment she realized I wasn't going to just roll over and forgive her, she flipped the script. She started accusing me of emotional neglect. "I wouldn't have looked elsewhere if you hadn't been so distant." Right. Because I was so busy working my 9 to 6 to keep our mortgage paid while she was flirting online with people who got her. Give me a break. But it got worse. I found out she wasn't just cheating with the popular blogger, he was only one of many she had been messaging over the past year. DMs full of suggestive pics, flirting, even a few hotel reservations under fake names. My stomach dropped. She had an entire second life built online. She lied so easily it scared me. Like it was second nature. One night, I asked her straight up, "Why? Why do all this and still come home to me every night like nothing's wrong?" She stared at me blankly and said, "Because I didn't think you'd ever find out." No remorse. No guilt. Just indifference. That was my breaking point. The woman I had loved, trusted, shared a home and life with, she was gone. Replaced by someone I didn't recognize. And the most painful part? I don't think she ever really existed in the first place. After that soul-crushing realization, something in me just switched. I stopped grieving the relationship and started planning my exit. I was done playing the fool in a story I didn't sign up for. First, I went to a lawyer. I wanted to know exactly what I was up against. Turns out, since we didn't have kids and most of our assets were in my name, I had a lot more leverage than she did. The lawyer advised me to stay calm, gather everything, and not tip my hand until I was ready to make my move. So I played it cool. She thought I was sulking. She even mocked me once, "You're finally learning your place." That was the moment I realized she wasn't just a liar, she was cruel. She enjoyed having control. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a pattern of manipulation that I had been too blind, or too in love, to see. I started documenting everything. Screenshots, emails, even that therapy session where she admitted the affair, recorded with my lawyer's advice. I made copies of every text, saved them to an external drive, and left it with a friend for safekeeping. Then, I dropped the bomb. I came home early one day and handed her a manila envelope with the divorce papers inside. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. "You're seriously doing this? I should have done it the moment you chose him over me." She tried to spin it, of course. Claimed she was scared and lost and that we could still fix this. But I saw through it. All of it. Her tears weren't for me. They were for her image, her comfort, her carefully curated lifestyle. She thought she could get away with everything and still have me waiting at home like an idiot. Not anymore. It's strange, the first few days after I filed for divorce, I felt like a stranger in my own life, but there was this deep sense of relief, like I could finally breathe again. I wasn't walking on eggshells anymore. The tension that had been brewing for months, maybe even years, was gone. But then came the fallout. My wife was angry. Furious, really. She started playing the victim card harder than ever before. Apparently, I was throwing away everything we built because of one mistake, and she was absolutely certain she could fix things if I just talked to her. She'd even accused me of abandoning her, even though she was the one who abandoned me emotionally years ago. She just didn't know how to deal with the fact that I was done. And the worst part? She immediately started trash-talking me to her followers. As a popular blogger, she had a platform one I'd never realized was more important to her than our relationship. I'd been on the receiving end of passive-aggressive posts before, but now? She was going full public rage mode. She tried to frame me as the villain in our marriage, even suggesting I'd been controlling and emotionally distant for years. It was disgusting to watch. Here I was, just trying to get out with some dignity, and she was twisting everything to fit her narrative. It was clear she didn't care about fixing us. She cared about her followers. She cared about looking good, not about doing the right thing. Meanwhile, I started seeing a therapist. Not just for me, but for the healing I knew I needed. It wasn't just about getting over the betrayal, it was about rediscovering who I was after losing myself for so long. I also started focusing on the things I'd put aside: my friends, my hobbies, my career. I poured myself into those, rediscovering a version of myself that wasn't her husband but just me. I couldn't help but feel a little sad for her. She was spinning out of control. She wasn't just losing me, she was losing her reputation. And somehow, I couldn't even feel bad about it anymore. She wasn't the woman I thought I knew. It's been a few months now, and I've had time to reflect on everything. Looking back, I can't believe how much I allowed myself to be manipulated and lied to. The guilt, the confusion, the anger, all of it. I was just so blind to the truth, so caught up in trying to save a relationship that was already broken. When I think about how I felt when I first discovered everything, I honestly don't know who that guy was. The guy who was so crushed by the thought of losing her. He feels like a stranger now. It's like I've grown into someone stronger, someone who can stand up for myself. And, I'll admit, that wasn't easy. I've learned that love isn't about tolerating betrayal and lies, and it certainly isn't about convincing someone else to change. I tried to fix something that wasn't fixable, and in the end, it was about protecting myself first. I don't regret the decision to walk away, but I do wish I had done it sooner. I wasted so much time on someone who didn't value me. As for her? Well, she moved on quickly. A few weeks after I moved out, she started dating another influencer, a guy from one of her collaborations. I saw the posts and the videos. It honestly didn't bother me. In fact, it's almost laughable now. I realized just how much she's about maintaining an image and how little of her was ever real with me. Now, I'm just focused on living my life. I've had my moments of sadness, but I'm not grieving the marriage anymore. I'm grieving the version of her I thought I knew. It's funny how quickly you can outgrow someone when you start focusing on your own growth. I don't know what's next. Maybe I'll meet someone else. Maybe I'll stay single for a while. But right now, I'm just enjoying the freedom to do things for me without the constant pressure to be what someone else wanted. I'm rebuilding myself.